What's up, everybody, and welcome into the plush and lavish Studio Day Hefre. Today, with the Cowboys, what I want to talk about is their position needs, rank those, and give you names to know for the NFL draft that could be guys the Cowboys are interested at said positions, okay? So what I did is I went through their entire roster and who's free agents and who's still here, and I'm just going to give you the needs that I consider to be the biggest needs for this team, and then I'm going to give you the names that I think you should know as it pertains to the NFL draft, at least as far as the prospects that I've gotten through. I'm about 40 guys into this thing. Wild card need for the Cowboys is offensive tackle. You know, my guy Bobby Belt's out here scaring me, making a prediction they're going to cut Tyron Smith, and I don't like when Bobby gets wild on me because Bobby Belt knows some things. I'm going to say that would be dumb if they did, because Tyron Smith, when he plays, is still one of the better left tackles in football, and he does it on the cheap. But if they want money to spend in free agency, it's got to come from somewhere. I'm going to assume Tyron Smith is back and Lyle Collins is back. The wild card is just the health of those guys and the career trajectory of those guys. So I don't have this as the top need. I have this as the wild card need, which would make it number 1. There's a tie for 2, and then 3, and this would be 4. Well, technically 5. So names to know at offensive tackle, because there is a chance that when the Cowboys go on the clock, the best player available to them is an offensive tackle. That's why I think it's relevant to talk about. Penei Sewell is going to be the first tackle taken, I would imagine. The Oregon offensive tackle, he's a freaking hotel. He's athletic. He's a monster. He's going to be the first offensive tackle taken because he has the tape and all the traits you could possibly dream of. The next guy you need to know is Rashawn Slater, the Northwestern left tackle. He opted out. He didn't play this year. He's not the same freak show of the way he's built that our guy Penei Sewell is, but he's a really good player that some teams are going to project to guard because his arms aren't as long as everybody else's. And you can see it a little bit on his tape, but he's a really good left tackle, and he could absolutely be a Pro Bowl, all-pro guard if you needed him to play that. So those two, and then after that, I'm still working my way through, but Virginia Tech's Christian Darrisaw, I don't want to take him at number 10, but I think he's looking like a first-round player based on what I've seen so far. And Elijah Vera Tucker, USC, played guard, played left tackle this year, played both of them really, really well. Those guys I don't like at number 10, but they're names we need to know about. Maybe Captain Trade Down rides, I don't know. So that is one need for the Cowboys as offensive tackle. Next one that I want to go to is what I would call the number 3, although technically 4 because I have a tie at number 2. The number 4 need is linebacker because this is all up to what are they going to do. Are you actually going to release Jalen Smith for very little cap savings this year and create a hole at linebacker on purpose? I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to it if we're being honest, but right now on your roster, I forgot to tell you guys, at tackle right now on your roster, you have Tyron Lyle Collins, Brandon Knight, Terrence Steele, Mitch Hyatt, William Sweet. That's what you have. So if Tyron or LC goes down next year, it's the same names. Brandon Knight, Terrence Steele, and Brandon Knight's been getting destroyed this year. Terrence Steele's been up and down. Brandon Knight, I believe, has been fighting through some things medically too, but whatever. We move on. Linebacker. Guys you'll have on the roster next year at linebacker that are under contract: Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, Luke Gifford, Francis Bernard, Azur Kamara. Those are the 5 names that are under contract that play linebacker for the Cowboys. If you want to get ready for the departure of either Jalen Smith or Leighton Vander Esch, or if you want to get rid of them today, one of them, I don't like picking a linebacker at 10. Micah Parsons is going to be the first linebacker off the board, I would imagine. I don't like picking one at 10. So there are other names that you're going to need to know when it comes to this NFL draft, and I think there will end up being quite a few of them. It's not a bad linebacker class. There's some good players in there. I'm just working my way through there because it's not the position that I started with. But Parsons, you need to know. He's a possibility at number 10 for the Cowboys. He absolutely is. Nick Bolton, Missouri, is my guy that I think will go in the 20s or 30s somewhere. Jabril Cox at LSU is a guy that won't be a first-round pick, I don't think, but he really showed up for me when I was watching LSU this year because I love linebackers that can cover, and I saw this dude running 40 yards downfield to bat down a ball. Jeremiah Owusu Koromora, Koromoa at Notre Dame. I haven't watched his tape yet. I just know that he's a stud and a Swiss Army knife. Zaven Collins at Tulsa, who just won, what's the linebacker award? The award for best linebacker in college football, whatever. He had interceptions, he had sacks, he had tackles. He was doing everything this year. I don't have 2020 tape of him yet, so I'll get to his tape study. I just know that he's really good. And then Ohio State's got a couple of guys, and there's a bunch of linebackers. I don't want one at 10. When we get to the mailbag portion, we'll talk about Micah Parsons a little bit. I don't want a linebacker at 10. But that's the number 3 need for the Cowboys, according to me, or technically number 4. Next is our tie at safety and defensive tackle. This is the tied for the second biggest need on the Cowboys. Because at safety right now under contract, what they're going to have is Darian Thompson, Donovan Wilson, Steven Parker, Reggie Robinson. Now, I'll say this. My hope and dream for the Cowboys is that Reggie Robinson, who they couldn't get on the dang field all year this year, that they, after an offseason, feel like maybe he can either be or compete for the free safety job. Reggie Robinson is their one of their 4th-round picks from last year. Couldn't really get on the field other than special teams for the Cowboys towards the end of the year. But that would be the dream, is if you could erase one of your big needs and feel real good that Donovan Wilson and Reggie Robinson can be your safeties. I think most people would want to have something you felt better about than that, because you don't want Darian Thompson on the field. You don't want Steven Parker on the field. And we only want Reggie Robinson on the field because we haven't seen him on the field, and people like draft picks. So that's what you got. You got one starter in Donovan Wilson and then a whole bunch of So who are the names to know? In the first round, I think none. I don't think there's a safety worth getting picked in the first round. I do need to get to the 2020 TCU tape before I give you actual grades on safeties. But here are some names of guys that I like that you should know going into the NFL draft. Trevon Merrick, TCU safety, and his teammate Ardarius Washington, TCU safety. Now, Merrick is full size, and Ardarius Washington's 5'9". I liked Washington better in 2019 tape. I'm told that Merrick had the better 2020. We'll see when I watch it. But those are names to know. Second round, maybe because Washington's 5'9", and if it's true that his 2020 tape isn't great, maybe that's a third round. But know those names. Nasir Al-Din is the Florida State safety. He's a big old dude. He looks like Cam Chancellor out there, but he's a nice player. That's a name that I would want to know for the second round. I don't think he's a real-life sort of free safety, so I don't know if that would appeal to the Cowboys. Tyree Gillespie at Missouri, 0 career picks, but he has good tape. He knows what he's doing back there, and he lines up deep for Missouri, so name that I think is relevant to know in the third round. Guys that other people like that I just kind of don't see it with. Holland, the safety, although he played slot corner at Oregon, to me, he doesn't really run well enough to be a corner, and he's not really physical enough to be a safety, so I just don't know. Andre Cisco at Syracuse, no. To me, he's a 4th or 5th round guy. And Paris Ford at Pitt, these are the guys I've seen. Paris Ford, to me, I don't see it at all. No thank you. But those are names to know at safety. Now, safety would be more likely addressed in the second or third round than the first round. And basically all of these things are more reasons that this team, I'm like, dude, let's trade down because I want to be able to get 3 or 4 names in the top 70 to 80 picks. Defensive tackle is the other spot where I believe there is a tie. Second biggest need on the Cowboys, defensive tackle. Guys under contract for next year, Tristan Hill, Neville Gallimore, Justin Hamilton, Walter Parmore. So basically you've got 2 rotational 3 techniques under tackles, line up over the guard, try to be my quick penetrators, and Tristan Hill and Neville Gallimore. And you got a giant gap, giant hole to fill at your nose tackle spot. Now I'm talking about this like it's a 4-3. Who knows what they're running, right? But either way, they're short, they're fatty. And I say fatty with love because I love one techniques. I love the nose tackles. Names to know at defensive tackle. And I kind of like this group. I don't know how to say his first name. Alim McNeil, NC State. He's about 320 pounds. He lines up at pure nose tackle there. And he's got what you want from a nose tackle is a big-butted dude that doesn't look fat. That's McNeil. He's 320 pounds, but it looks like it's all in his thighs and his butt, and just pow off the ball. He's like, get ya! And he's not a bad little athlete there, so he's one of my favorites at the moment. Christian Barmore at Alabama. I hesitate to even list him because it sounds like people think he's going to go in the first round. I don't know that I would take him there. But Christian Barmore at Alabama is a name worth knowing. Marvin Wilson at Florida State, because he is the guy that when he hits quarterbacks after they throw the ball, it looks like it hurts the most. And I value that in a defensive tackle. When you hit a guy, how bad does it look like it hurts? So Marvin Wilson, I thought his 2020 at Florida State was a little better than people are pretending. His tape's not bad in 2020, and he's over 300 pounds. I don't know if you would call him a one technique or a three technique. I think he's something in between. I don't think he's a dynamic rusher, but I also don't think that he's a dominant point of attack run stopper. I think he's something in between. But whatever it is in between, I like it. I think Marvin Wilson is a name to know in the second round. Jordan Davis at Georgia. He's a 330-pounder. You cannot move Jordan Davis. You can't move him. He's not going to rush the passer, but you can't move him. The dude is a mountain. Same thing with Tyler Shelvin at LSU. He's a 345-pounder. You ain't moving him. He ain't rushing the passer, and you ain't moving him. So those names to me are more third or fourth round because they're going to be guys that are two-down players that aren't going to offer you any pass rush. But still, if you're looking for a fat boy, those are some good ones. And I say that with love. And the Cowboys' number one need is corner. Right now on the roster, Anthony Brown, Trayvon Diggs, Maurice Kennedy, Rashad Robinson, Deontay Burton. I don't like that. I don't think that's not good. And I factor in positional value. Out of all these positions we're talking about, now offensive tackle is also very important, but I don't think it's quite as big a need as the other ones we're talking about. Corner is a super important position. So it's super valuable, it's super important, and they need a lot of help. That's why I have it at number one. Names to know. Obviously, Caleb Farley, Virginia Tech opt-out. He's my number one corner. Patrick Surtain, Alabama, my current number two corner. J.C. Horn, South Carolina, my number three corner. And then guys for the second round that I'm starting to work through, both the Georgia guys, Eric Stokes and Tyson Campbell. And my little guys that I'm a big fan of, Asante Samuel Jr. at Florida State and Elijah Molden at Washington. Those guys are both going to be slot guys to me. They're 5'10". Samuel played outside at Florida State, but I think he's going to have to be a slot guy, and I'm basing it off not a ton, but when they played Clemson the first two plays of the game, they just threw it up on him, and they caught it. And then Florida State took him out for a little bit before they put him back in. So I think those are going to be slot guys, but they're both very good, and I would take them as high as the second round. So there's your needs. Cowboys' biggest needs and names to know. Offensive tackle, linebacker, safety, D-tackle, corner. Mailbag. Silky Milky. Hey, Jeff, have you watched Paris Ford's tape yet? Ouch. Thanks for all the great content. I have, and I agree with ouch when it comes to his tape. It's Pittsburgh safety. Dustin says Davion Nixon. Defensive tackle. He's a defensive tackle at Iowa. I started watching him this morning on his 2019 tape because I don't have 2020 yet. So I'll let you know. Joseph, food for thought. Would you trade Dak to Miami for this year's number 3 and 18? We draft Fields or Wilson at 3, Caleb Farley at 10, and Bolton at 18. You know I love the draft. It's my favorite thing. Don't ask me questions like that because I'll be tempted. I love the draft, and I love young players. Just sign your good quarterback, okay? Hey, Jeff, not asking this as a Parsons stan, but is taking him at 10 cool with you? It's not taking him at 4. It's from Van. I don't want Parsons at 10. I don't want an off-the-ball linebacker at 10. Parsons, you can tell, is, still learning the position of linebacker, and I don't want the risk that comes with a guy that you're banking on the development when you're picking him in the top 10. If I'm picking you in the top 10 and you play a linebacker, I'm expecting you to come in and be the leader of my defense. That's what I'm expecting. I don't know if Micah Parsons, from a maturity standpoint or from just an experience at the position standpoint, has the capabilities to do those things. So I like Micah Parsons as a prospect. If he ends up on the Cowboys, however it happens, I'll be like, hey, that's really cool that Micah Parsons is on the Cowboys. But I won't like the value of the pick if you take him in the top 10. Andre says, I love your channel, dude. but I have a mailbag. Can you give us a timeline on the extension for Dak? I'm a Dak lover, by the way. And by timeline, I mean, when is it possible to start talks, deadline for the tag, how the injury plays in, and all that stuff. Thankful for the content you give us. Much love from Denmark. Thank you, Andre. They can negotiate right this second. The Cowboys, what they're going to wait for is they're going to wait to know what the salary cap's going to be, because COVID is going to bring it down. The lowest it can be is $175 million, but that is a significant drop from this year, and they'll be okay, even if it is at that lowest number. The Cowboys will be fine. They'll have enough money to take care of Dak, but it'll really limit the other things they can do. So I think the Cowboys are going to hold off until they know what the cap is going to be, and we're probably going to have to wait till March to get this thing really going. But hopefully they'll get it done. I couldn't imagine that they're not going to sign their franchise quarterback. Okay? That's what I got for you guys today. Leave in the comments what you want to talk about tomorrow at youtube.com/Jeff Cavanaugh. Please mash the like button. Mash the thumbs up. Leave in the comments what you want to say tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed. Get notifications turned on. Appreciate you. And 1053thefan.com. Make sure you're tuned in 2 to 7 on 1053 The Fan, your home of the Cowboys for the G-Bag Nation. I love you. Be cool to people. Have a great day.